Good afternoon, YouTube fans. We have just launched at the Loch Lomond Marina in San Rafael. It is Saturday, September 16th. Time is 10 minutes after 2. And got a bit of a late start today. I was waiting for the tide to be up because the plan is to row out onto San Rafael Bay, which is where we're headed right now, and turn west and head up the San Rafael Creek. The plan is to go as far as the bridges will allow us. With high tide up, there's some low headroom to deal with. Anyhow, the weather forecast for today was temperature in the mid-70s, I believe. The wind was supposed to be southwest at 5 to 9 miles an hour. And right now it feels like it's probably blowing closer to 9 miles an hour. Get through the jetty here at the harbor entrance. It's a clear day, mostly. Some very high broken clouds. Thicker clouds off to the east over the east shore of San Francisco Bay, or San Pedro Bay, to be precise. And right now the wind is coming out of the southeast, not the southwest. So it has a bit of a longer fetch. It's liable to be a bit of a choppy ride, most especially because this is a rather shallow part of the bay. We're not going fast at all. I'm rowing right along, and we're doing less than 1.8 miles an hour. It's quite choppy. I was going to say the bay right here is very, very shallow, so the oh, here comes a puff. The wind, okay, that's feeling like 10 or 12 miles an hour anyway. I need to get over to my side of the channel because there is a navigation channel here so that the larger boats can come in at low tide, and so this is where the traffic is. Well, I'm thinking I made a mistake. This is doable, but not pleasant. And wind is still out of the southeast. One thing I do have to do before I do anything else is I got to put my chin strap on my hat. I don't want to be losing my Tilly hat over the side. Off to the west, you can see Mount Tam. It's the highest point in Marin County. It's about 2,400 feet elevation. I'm going to go past this next channel marker, and then I'm going to turn west. We've got plenty of water under us with the tide up this high, so we shouldn't have any problems with the flats off here to the west of us. Wow, there was a 2.1, 2.2 mile an hour speed on the GPS. All right. Well, now the wind's blowing out of the southwest. I believe that sailboat motoring in is a Santana made by WD Shock, same manufacturer of my Lido 14 sailboats I used to race. It's an excellent bay boat. It's got a fairly low aspect ratio rig, and therefore it handles the heavy weather of the San Francisco Bay easily enough. Yep, wind straight out of the southwest. I guess it was being affected by this headland that we're passing to starboard here. Off to the northeast of us, you can see the Marin Islands. There are two of them. I think they may be overlapped from this angle. And my dream is to come out here someday when the water's smooth and go out there and do a figure eight around those before I head up Marin, or San Rafael Creek rather. But so far I haven't had the good fortune to have good winds following us in, or allowing the water to be flat and not choppy. That's what I meant. Off the port beam, it's about maybe 200 yards or a little better out there is a channel marker, and there is another channel marker that's ahead of us somewhere here. Anyhow, that defines the entrance to San Rafael Creek, because once you enter the mouth of the creek off the bay here, there is a lot of amount of boating activities going on. There are docks, a couple of yacht clubs. Lots of interesting stuff to look at. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to row up here, was to get some more interesting videos of places that I haven't rowed in a long time. It's probably been, I'm going to guess, about 4 years since I've been up here out of Loch Lomond. The Traditional Small Craft Association used to have, before COVID, a row up here every year, and we would leave Loch Lomond and row up the creek, tie up, and go ashore and have a delicious lunch, and then row back. It was just a short row. I think it was like 4 3/4 miles or something like that. So that's about what we'll be doing today, maybe a little bit more. Off the port quarter, you can see the Richmond-San Rafael Bridge. There are 2 major shipping spans. The westerly one is for southbound or outbound traffic, and the one over there on the easterly shore over toward what is it? Point Richmond is for the northbound traffic or inbound. There is navigable water for ocean-going ships all the way to Stockton, the port of Stockton. And so once you're over in that area, they have very strict rules about being in those channels and crossing the channels. Going in this direction, given the angle of the sea state, the rowing is not too bad. We're not pounding all that bad. Boat's moving along. We're doing 2.4 miles an hour. That's good. Right ahead of us, there's a sailboat that's motoring out of San Rafael Creek, and he has just passed the channel marker for San Rafael Creek. So he is motoring on a course from that mark to the one that's off our port stern here, port quarter. Well, if this wind holds, the ride back should be just fine. We'll have a moderate tailwind. The tide will be falling, but low tide isn't until I think 6 or 7 o'clock tonight, something like that. Maybe 5 o'clock. I can't remember. I figured I'd be back in, so I didn't really pay that much attention to the time of the low tide. coming up on the red right returning channel marker for the creek, just over my right shoulder. And at that point, using those two channel markers and ranging them is an easy way to stay in the channel. I don't have to look where I'm going too much, except to stay away from traffic. If this is your first time watching this channel, I'd appreciate it if you'd subscribe, and if you're interested, click on the solid bell to get notifications every time I post a new video. I tend to post them at least once every 2 weeks, and every week if I'm able. And please give me a thumbs up. The subscription button and the thumbs up button are monitored by YouTube, and the more you get, the more likely it is that one of my videos will show up while people are casting about on YouTube looking for boating channels. These houses along here sure do have a beautiful view of the bay. I was saying that we're on San Pablo Bay, but actually we are, I believe, still on San Francisco Bay. Right off the port quarter, mostly astern of us, clear across the bay there, you can see a wooded point coming down to a big red rocky headland, and that is Point Pinole. And another mile, a mile and a half out beyond the Loch Lomond Marina, where we launched, is Point San Pedro, which is the peninsula where San Rafael lies. And the line between those 2 points, I believe, is the demarcation between San Francisco Bay on the south and San Pablo Bay on the north. So technically we are on San Francisco Bay. Alright, I'm past those 2 marks, and there's a green mark right behind us. In the United States, the way we have port and starboard markers on the navigational channels, ship channels, is that when you are leaving port and headed out to sea, that the green is on the starboard side and the red is on the port side, which correspond to the color of the navigation lights on boats. Red left port, green right starboard. So in the United States, there's a phrase to remember, so you'll know which side of the marker to be on, and that is red right returning. So when you're coming back in from being out at sea and headed up channel, you keep the red mark on the starboard side, the right hand side of the boat. And there's that green marker right ahead of us, a couple hundred yards. Yeah, I got my keeper line there tangled up. Ooh, I haven't even put the one on the port oar. I need to do that. Very first time I sailed with TSCA, or rode with TSCA out of Loch Lomond. I was just rowing away from the dock and lost an oar over the side. And the wind and tide were carrying me away from the oar. And I was very fortunate that I was with a group of people in their small boats, and somebody rowed over and retrieved my oar and brought it to me. And ever since then I have installed these little keeper lines that loop around the loom of the oar, shaft of the oar, so that the oars can't jump up out of the oar lock and fall over the side. Not a good idea to get too close in here. I noticed that about 100 feet off of that rocky point right there, there's a boulder that's only about 3 or 4 inches out of the water. So it pays to watch where you're going here. There's some flowers, a memorial for someone, right there above the water's edge. Oh, and today is my friend Julia Feld's birthday. So hopefully this row will go delightfully well, and I'd like to dedicate it to Julia Feld. Julia was the resident artist at Sonoma Ceramics at the Sonoma Community Center in Sonoma, California, when I started working at that studio in, I think it would be the fall of 2013. And she was a good friend and a great encouragement to me in my artistic pursuits in ceramics. And She and her husband, Vlad, have moved, I think it's to South Carolina, where she has only just now gotten her studio up and running. She is missed by many of us who knew her here in California. One of them being Fred Yokel, who she introduced me to. And, Google Fred Yokel ceramics and look at his stuff. He does figurative work, and it's just an absolute delight. And also Google Julia Feld ceramics. Julia does just amazing underglaze work on usually white clay, and it's truly amazing the work that she does. Ahead of us and off to starboard a bit, you can see a rectangular sign. It's day-glow orange with a vertical white stripe, and that is a range marker. Somewhere beyond that, and sitting higher, is another marker that looks just like it. And so when you're coming in a boat, you can, those are reflective, you can show your spotlight out in front of you, and you just line them up one above the other. Hello. Lady on a stand-up paddleboard with an old dog. The dog looks like he'd just as soon be someplace else. When we get over to the side of the channel, there's a sailboat coming out under sail. So I want to give him plenty of room to maneuver.